Hi everyone, welcome to Understanding the Power of a Webinar. In this episode, I'm going to take you through what a webinar can do for your own brand as well as for your business. My name is Eugene and I'm from WeSpeak, where we specialize in bringing webinars to the general business owner and the public without a massive overhead. So if you allow me, I've got a couple of slides I want to show you guys as part of the discussion, and hopefully it will give you some insights on what to do. So let's start, let's get this show on the road. Okay, firstly, what exactly is a webinar? We're going to start with, and I'm just going to go on here. Why are you currently here? Why are you attending this specific webinar? Well, if you're currently listening to this webinar or you're following the video that we're going to load on YouTube a little bit later, it means that you've got an interest in understanding webinars, and that's what I'm going to take you through. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. I'm very excited about going forward in my slides. Okay, so a webinar is basically what you're currently attending. I'm going to explain a little bit later how a webinar fits into the other video type of platforms, but a webinar is basically a video-based platform for you to talk to an audience, either an existing audience, in other words, doing a online, let's say online training, or talking to a strange audience or a new audience where you can advertise and attract new people to your discussion. The power of a webinar includes the ability to interact with your audience, which is critical, as I'll show you a little bit later on, to create trust with the audience. So in a webinar, there's a couple of features in all webinar platforms. So we're currently using, as a partner, we're an affiliate with Demio. Demio is one of the large webinar platforms in the world, right alongside Webinar Jam, Big Marker, and all these other big names. So within a webinar, one of the powers of a webinar is the ability to do interaction with your audience. So if you have a look on the right-hand side, if you're currently joining on a webinar, you've got a chat. I'd like to invite you guys. There's a couple of guys. Welcome. Hi, Peter. Hi, Alta, John. I see there's someone from Cape Town. You guys are welcome on the chat side to give me a thumbs up or to ask me a question, which is one of the ways that you can interact with the speaker. And in my case, you guys are welcome to chat a little bit. In a webinar, you can also run various polls, ask questions. And in this presentation, you will see I've got quite a lot of polls, and it allows me to basically ask questions and get answers from my audience. If you strategically do the right polls, it is extremely insightful for your business and your brand and your marketing exercise to understand what your audience is looking for and what they require and what their opinions are. So I've got a quick question for you guys to start off with. Have you been on a webinar before? So I'm quickly gonna share. How's it, Brandon? I'm quickly gonna share with you the first poll and question. And have you been on a webinar before? Currently, in the marketing scenario that we have in the world, webinars are becoming extremely popular. I can see I've got a couple of notes, never ever been, so welcome to this webinar if this is your first one. There's a couple of many times. Luckily, there's no one, I'm not sure. Okay, so the majority of the votes come from yes, I've been many times, and nope, I've never been, which is quite interesting because it's quite polarized. I think in the current scenario of where we are in digital marketing, there's lots of video media coming out, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to basically do this little introduction to webinars, a video to explain to you where everything fits in. So I'm quickly going to go on and explain what the difference is between all the various platforms. So your video-based marketing platforms are predominantly split into three categories. The first one is your streaming platform. So most people know the streaming platforms based on YouTube streaming, Facebook streaming, and the streaming platforms tend to be very one-directional. In other words, you will have someone that makes a public announcement or talking to lots of people, and you can't really control who attends and who leaves and comes along on the thing. Your next category, so the first one is streaming services. The next one of your video-based platforms are your meeting platforms, and that is typically your Zoom, Skype, Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, that sort of thing. And the intention of those platforms is to almost simulate a meeting with a couple of people around a table. You can have quite a large meeting, so you can have tens of people in a meeting, but the intention is still where everyone sort of sits and talks and contributes, and it's a very specific purpose. Your third one is basically your webinar, your presentation, or your speaking platforms, in which webinars are basically your main platform. So a webinar is a little bit between your meeting and your streaming platforms, where there's a fair amount of interaction with your audience, but you can effectively address thousands of people if it boils down to. I mean, I've attended a couple of webinars in this year that's literally gone into 6,000 attendees, which is great. And those attendees can ask questions. If you've got a moderation team, they can answer the questions. So I think if you look at your three platforms, your streaming platform is sort of intended as a one-directional thing. You've got your meeting platforms that is very personalized, and you generally know all the people, and you act as if you're in a meeting, in a discussion. And then you've got your webinar platforms, which is basically the in-between, where you can have some interaction, but I can still talk to quite a lot of people. Now, just so that people know that there are overlaps. If I generally talk to people about webinars, they will say, yes, but you can use Zoom for the same thing, or you can use Facebook streaming. That is true to some extent, because the different platforms have got overlapping functionality. In Zoom, as an example, there's obviously, because it's a meeting platform, you can have quite a lot of interaction, and you can also do interaction from Facebook streaming. In other words, if you do a Facebook stream, people will give you thumbs up and little hearts and stuff. But because there's overlapping functionality, that does not mean it actually does what the other one does. And I do recommend that people understand the difference between streaming platforms, meeting platforms, and webinar platforms. Webinar platforms are extremely powerful for marketing. The other two platforms aren't that powerful for marketing. So if your intention is to grow your business and put the word out and invite people, then webinars are definitely where you want to be. So I've got my next question. Let me quickly start it off here for you guys. My next question is, which platform in your current business do you think you would prefer? And I've got the three options there: webinars, Zoom, or Skype, or Facebook. So you guys are welcome to contribute. I see we currently have 2-3 guys in interactive webinars, a couple of Skype meetings. It's interesting because at the moment no one is choosing Facebook and YouTube. So the reason why I say it's interesting is when we started with video-based platforms, I did a couple of Facebook streams, and the problem is on Facebook streaming and YouTube streaming is that you need quite a lot of followers. You need quite a lot of social media followers, and not all of us are influencers. A lot of us are just business people. We're trying to run our businesses, but we still have a requirement to do marketing. And I'm glad to see that currently 80% says that the preferred platform would be webinars, which is fantastic, obviously, for guys like us. So what is the big deal with using webinars for marketing purposes, which is an extremely valid point. And how do webinars fit into digital marketing, which is a question that I mainly get. So if you do Facebook marketing, LinkedIn marketing, AdWords, well, where do webinars fit in? So I've got a fairly simple explanation, and a couple of years ago, it sort of dropped like a penny for me, considering all the different platforms. So one of our companies specializes in digital marketing. So I've got a fair amount of 15 years exposure of digital marketing, and only recently webinars basically became quite important for me. So let me quickly explain this to you. I'm going to just go on to my next slide here. What's the big deal? Well, what happens is that most of us tend to, if we think of digital marketing, we think of social media, we think of Google AdWords, your website, stuff like that. The problem is that in today's world is that our consumers completely changed. The consumer behavior is because we're also inundated with digital marketing and social media platforms. And if you scroll on Facebook, every second post or third post is an ad. If you browse, you've got AdWords all over the stuff, display ads and search ads. And the problem that's created over the last sort of 5 years is that people don't trust anymore. You only see ads. And we've realized that people only buy if they trust you, if there's a trust connection with you, which is, I think, quite obvious. The problem is that social media platforms don't create trust. Email campaigns don't create trust, and AdWords don't create trust. So let's I'm going to explain it to you sort of. So you've got what we call your high-level third-party marketing platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, AdWords, and those things sort of become more a pamphlet type of environment where if you advertise there, people see you, but they still don't trust you. Then I always ask people that if you have the opportunity to sit in a meeting one-to-one with a client, let's say over coffee, and you have the ability to talk to him for half an hour, what are the chances that you can close a sale? In most cases, people are extremely confident, business owners and entrepreneurs, that if they have the opportunity to meet someone face-to-face, they will close the sale. So the problem is going from your social media platforms where you might deliver your ad to thousands of people and sitting with someone one-to-one with a coffee, there's quite a big gap in between. One of the problems is also that if you do the coffee thing and you're confident you can close the sale, well, you can only have one coffee with a person and a client at one stage. And that's exactly where we found that webinars are extremely powerful for us, because webinars basically fill that gap. Webinars give you the ability to talk to a lot of people, a lot more than one-to-one, but it creates trust that digital marketing doesn't do. What is also actually quite good is that you can now use digital marketing to point people to your webinar, because they just need to register like you guys have done. Hi there, Paul, welcome. And so webinars basically create the trust that you can't. Now, out of a webinar, you can also do one-to-one meetings, but generally we found is that if people visit a webinar and they can basically associate with you, they can hear you speak, they can see your mannerisms, and it creates a huge amount of trust in your capability and your knowledge. Generally, webinars aren't intended to do hard sales. People won't attend for that. But if you convey knowledge, then it's a really powerful tool to do. So video and webinars fill the gap between social media marketing and having the coffee with a person. And you can, within a webinar, you can talk about anything basically. You can talk about your ideas, you can motivate people, you can inspire people. I'll take you through the next section quickly, what is a couple of use cases that webinars are extremely good at. But first, I want to ask you guys the next question, which is just for interest's sake, can you close, how confident are you if you meet a client over a coffee that you can close a sale? So I've got three options for you guys. The first one is 20%, no, I don't think I can. 50%, maybe. 80%, yes, I can close it. So I invite you guys to start with a poll. It's going active there. I can see most people are going with 80%, which is a very typical response. I see everyone is almost on 80%. There's one on 50%. It's quite a predictive result, the fact that most of you guys are on 80% that you can close the sale. And that shows that as business owners and as entrepreneurs, you are quite confident in your business and your offering, and the fact that your offering and your service and your product can actually help people. Now, you just need to use something like a webinar as a video-based platform to create the trust between your social media and actually meeting people. So thanks a lot for contributing to that poll. Let's quickly go on. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at what webinars are really, really good at from a marketing perspective. Firstly, obviously, talking about business topics. I'm currently talking about webinars. We've got ongoing webinars on business topics, and you can really solve people's problem by thought leading and talking to them. Entrepreneurs and new business owners, this is extremely powerful because they can either attend webinars and learn quite a lot. We're running quite a lot of master classes for entrepreneurs, and they can attend and get information. The flip side is also true for entrepreneurs, and that is that webinars pose a really strong opportunity for them to introduce new products, new thinking, new ideas into the market that you traditionally won't be able to. If you develop a new tech or you develop a new method or service, it is really quite difficult, and it might take you 1 to 3 years to establish a trust relationship and a client base on those on this new thing. Whereas with a webinar, you can expedite your message a lot quicker. Then we're looking at interviews, which we found is really powerful. And that is that if you're a topic specialist or industry, a subject matter specialist, you can basically contact anyone in your industry and say, listen, I would really like to interview you online. Really powerful feature of webinars. And the great thing is, as a presenter, you can load quite a lot of presenters and you can all present at the same time. Generally, you don't do more than 2 or 3 because it just becomes very active. But it's great to share your screen with someone else and you can interview them, ask them questions. It's really easy to do. What we also found is that 90% of people that we contact, independent of the level or their seniority or the influencer status, are more than willing to do a free interview with you. Really, really powerful. Then you can do health and fitness. You can do inspirational talks. I think you probably get the gist. You can chat. You can answer in the chat to say that. But again, let's quickly do a question here. I'm going to share the next question with you. Which webinar theme would you be more interested in? So I've listed the 5 sort of primary ones: business, entrepreneurial, inspirational talks, health and fitness, faith and religion. Faith and religion is interesting because we, as we speak, have quite a lot of pastors and preachers that are using the platform to talk to people. And again, being a pastor or a preacher, you stand in front of an audience and it's very much trust-based that you follow. So let's see, I see most of you guys are into entrepreneurial development, a couple of inspirational talks, quite a lot of business topics. So thanks a lot for that. You guys can still vote while I'm quickly going through it. I see the majority of it are entrepreneurial and business topics, a couple of inspirational. So thanks a lot, guys, for contributing to that poll. Let's quickly go on with the last section, and that is, what do we do as we speak, and what do we offer in the webinar scene? Because it seems to be quite obvious to do your own webinar, but what we found is that there's quite a lot of hidden problems with doing a webinar, and we found that most business owners, once they might have the intent to do a webinar, like you guys that have joined this explanatory session, is once you get into webinars, it becomes quite complicated. The first thing is the financial cost of it. All the webinar platforms at the moment charge quite a lot of money to get an account and run with them. So almost all the platforms offer a free trial period, but they aren't really, unless you're very technically minded and you install an open source platform. But for the general audience out there, it becomes quite expensive because at some stage after your trial period, which is generally 14 or 30 days, you need to commit to a monthly payment to do a webinar. That's on the financial impact of a webinar. The other impact that it has is that if you're not technically minded, you might need a media team. In this case, I've got a high definition camera, I've got lighting, I might need a moderator to start the polls. If there's quite a lot of people attending, then someone needs to answer the question. So you tend to be a little bit overwhelmed as a speaker if you're running the show yourself. So we found at WeSpeak that between the financial impact of a business and the resource requirement, a lot of people then don't have the opportunity to use a webinar. And that's what we've developed at WeSpeak. At WeSpeak, we basically created a platform that is singular webinar based. In other words, you can basically register one webinar and present it to an audience. We also then support your intent with a moderating team, as well as marketing. So if you a qualified speaker, which is a very simple process for people to apply, it means that you can apply, be a speaker, a registered speaker with us, and you can basically just load webinars and put the message out. So my last question, this is quite a short session, and we're coming up to 20 minutes, which is my intended talk time. Do you think WeSpeak can help you in your current business? Obviously, it's more intended and focused on what we offer as a business, but it's also, we are there to promote the power of a webinar, not any specific platform, but to more put put webinars in the hands of your general business owner and entrepreneur to do. So let's quickly see. Do you think WeSpeak can help you in your business life? Yes. Not really sure or not honest. I'm glad to see that everyone's basically clicking on yes, I think so, which obviously means that our offering is well intended. And again, we love to put people's ideas and thinking on the map, new business owners and interviewers and stuff like that. So I see everyone's basically yes, I think it can. So thanks a lot for that. Guys, that is basically brings me to the end of it. A quick summary is basically that webinars are basically a category of its own between meeting platforms and streaming platforms. The intention of a webinar is to create trust and put the message out there, and it's a great opportunity to attract new audiences. It's also quite easy to advertise and market, where the typical use cases of a business, entrepreneur, interview, that sort of thing. And then finally, that is basically what WeSpeak do, is we try and put webinars, singular webinars, where you can register one webinar and talk to an audience. You can maybe start building one webinar per audience, one webinar per month to talk to your intended audience. So guys, thanks a lot for joining this episode of ours. This will be available on YouTube a little bit later, and we have we recommend that you guys visit the wespeak.co.za or wespeakworld.com websites. If you're interested in becoming a webinar speaker, definitely you've got the opportunity to apply to be a speaker with us. It's a very short, straightforward process, and I really appreciate everyone joining today, the couple of chats we've had. I can see everyone's giving a thumbs up. Thanks a lot, guys. And thank you for contributing to the polls. And I hope I was able to inform you a little bit of the power of a webinar. And I hope to see you guys on webinars real soon. So you guys are while I'm busy here, you guys are welcome to just ask a question. Thanks, Brandon. I really appreciate it. Paul, John, Alta again. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And visit the website and have a look at the upcoming webinars we've got. Every month we've got a theme, and we really have great interactive webinars for you guys to learn from. So thanks a lot. I'm gonna sign off, and I'll see you guys soon again. Cheers.